All right, welcome back. I'm gonna take this African mahogany and turn it into a shadow chest for a sailor who's done over 20 years of service. So this is gonna be her retirement shadow box. She asked for African mahogany. Here's what I picked up. This is gonna be a full chest with a shadow box inside. Come along on the process, let me show you what I do. Alright, so I won't bore you with the whole breakdown, milling, and rough sawing all of my material, but know that that's what I'm doing. I'm breaking it down, I'm rough sawing it. I gotta join a couple of edges so that I can make wider panels for the top, bottom, and insert in this chest. And basically what I'm trying to do is just match up the best looking pieces and get the best looking grain pattern that I can to make it most appealing while not giving away the fact that this is multiple boards glued up. I think it's a better seamless look when there's not a big old obvious joint right in the middle of a CNC, especially with the amount of engraving that I do on this. There's a lot of quotes and text and rates specific that you want to showcase. So this is what I'm doing. What?
How come everything has to be backwards?
It's not backwards.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now.
Trust me, when it shows up on the, you'll be able to read it right.
Okay. I'm just making sure everyone sees it close enough.
Okay. You gonna tell them?
Make sure to like, subscribe, and notification bell because my dad makes videos fast.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Alright, here we go. Here's a glue up of those wider panels, because you'll see the next shot you'll have will be me making the first carve and first attempt. Had to use my crosscut jig because I don't have a sled wide enough, and then I took them to the belt sander. And here is my first attempt at carving the lid, and this is going to be her name, dates of service, and the Navy SEAL. Later on, she's going to ask, and I'll add a quote to it. But I had several problems, and you'll see them right here. All right, well, I got cocky. Neglected to do probably some needed steps, i.e. flattening this. I thought my drum sander would have gotten it flat enough. It did not. I just spent 2 hours carving this chest cover, and there was just enough imperfections and waves in it that part of the carve didn't come through, and some of the letters, and I'll show you that. But the problem I have, so I was trying to preserve as much thickness as I could. This is about 3/4, 0.77 right now. I decided to carve a little deeper, and I probably two-part messed this up where I carved these as well as this at the same command. Shouldn't have done that. So I basically gonna have to wipe this all clean. I'm gonna take my surfacing bit and I'm gonna surface it to my table, which I know my table is flat. So that will give me a flat starting surface. But the problems I have, as you can see, NAVY did not come through. The A over here, basically all of the A's did not finish. There's supposed to be an American flag right here on top of the mast. There's not, because for whatever reason, this is lower than this point where I started. So that didn't come through. This is all really deep, which isn't bad, but I don't like it. So, you live and learn. I'm gonna wipe it clean. I'm gonna carve it again. The thickness of the lid just won't be 0.77. It'll be 0.57, so almost 0.6 of an inch. Still a good thickness, but man, frustrations. Anyway, let me show you how I'm gonna fix it. Oh man, that was a rough one. It killed me that I messed that up so bad. This project definitely challenged all of my skills to figure things out and find workarounds. And this is the first time I've ever had to wipe clean a carve that I spent so much time on. And funny enough, little, deja vu occurs a little bit later, and I'll show you. But here I am recarving it with a flat zero, and it definitely came out way better the second time. All right, so if at first you don't succeed, try again. Part of the issue with the first one, if you remember seeing here in the United States, no A, no Y. It barely carved the A and the Y, and it had some issues down here as well. This, was well, but this, so much better. Looks good. Also, she asked me if I could add another verse to the bottom. I like it. It all came out well. So, I don't know, 20-minute oversight, which is what flattening this should have taken when I had it first out, turned into 6 hours of total carve time. 3 the first, oops, and then 3 more. But I like this way better than the first one. It's cleaner, nicer, got some fine sanding I gotta do. You gotta get out all them little burrs in there. But overall, way better. That's how I fixed it. All right, so I wasn't gonna bore you with actual carving, nor the fact that I didn't learn on the lid that flat enough on any machine other than your CNC is not flat enough. So I ended up having to carve this one twice. Part of the issue was that Warfare pin didn't show up at all because it was lower than that rating device. And that Warfare, only half of it showed up. So I ended up having to surface this whole piece after I carved it once. But as you can see, this time came out beautiful. And yeah, so that's what the face frame's gonna be carved looking like. Alright, so after I got done with those 2 cars, which turned out to be the majority of the work, this is me starting to cut out all of the assembly pieces. So this is getting the sides squared up, cut, get ready to attach the front and the back to create the actual box itself, the chest, right? So basically what I'm doing here, I'm just taking my pin nailer, or I'm sorry, my brad nailer. I'm tacking it up, getting it assembled. I am driving in after I tack it up. I am countersinking and driving in some 2-inch deck screws because the edges of this aren't going to be seen. There's going to be some decorative trim that I'm going to cut 1/8-inch strips on, and I'll cover up those screws, but this box will be rock solid for life. She'll be able to put anything she wants in it, her uniforms, store memorabilia from her time underway. Her sea chest will be a remembrance of everything she did throughout her career, and this will be an excellent location with plenty of room to store her keepsakes and her memorabilia from her time in service. So, but this is the assembly. This is when it started to actually feel like a chest. And believe me, with the weight of this thing, oh, you know it's a solid chest. So.
Alright, well, I didn't get a chance to record much of what I did today, but I figured I'd give you a quick show, quick video, working on this project. So right here you have the case that's going to sit inside of the shadow box chest, which is located here, and I started putting the trim around all, well, the 3 sides that didn't require any more CNC work on them. I will be adding some trim on this side likely tomorrow, finishing up this, the tray, and I still have to build the hat box that's going to go inside of there. That's going to be pretty easy. And then last, I worked on the insert that's going to go inside the lid, which is going to be the Chief Petty Officer Creed right there, and the Retirements Creed right there. Now, this was not without fault. 2 things happened here during this part of the project. One, I did not secure the board down the first time, so yeah, it carved unevenly. And then, right in the middle of this carve, I had an oops. I'm gonna try to get it for you, show you what happened. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and zoom in real quick. But I cracked my router housing right there. Yep, so cracked it. I don't think the break went to the inside, but it definitely threw me for a loop. So anyways, I was able to finish the carve. Here it is. I have one more piece to do, which will be done on this 2-inch strip right here, and that'll be for later on in the video. Anyways, I think I'm done for the night. It's getting late, kids are in bed, wife's in bed, time to go.
Alright, after I got done doing those carves, this is basically wrapping up the finer details. I'm putting a rabbit in there for the mounting of her basically display that's going to have all the memorabilia that she wanted to display for her naval career. A lot of times that's flags, command stuff. Oh, here's me pretending like I know how to use a chisel. Um, my chisels are not sharp. They're very cheap. I think they're Home Depot specials, and as you can see, sorry for the focus going in and out, but um, I'm just trying to square off the corners so that the display will work, and yeah, that's super annoying with the focus going in and out. But about the third one in, I started to get a knack for it, and the last two turned out really clean. First one chipped out, just take it slow. I don't know what to tell you, but I figured it out. I only had to use CA glue on one of them to make sure that it didn't split the board down the rest of the way. So that was finishing off the display. Right there you see, you know, the next fun part of all um, woodworking projects is sanding. And I am being super facetious when I say that. That's why you see me going through here quick, fast, and in a hurry. So I was sanding it down, cutting the trim pieces, gluing them up, and then I just use these parallel clamps and blue tape to get them trimming out all of the edges in order to cover up those 2-inch deck screws I use to assemble this whole thing to make sure that it stays structurally sound. So all of these trim pieces, though they're a good accent to the finished product, also served a purpose, and they were hiding the fact that I basically just glue and screwed this shadow box together as I was working on that, and it was very tedious, as you can see. I'm working one side of the box, which is the lid with all the finish trim, while I had to call in reinforcements. And my wife was very kind enough to come and help me start putting on the tried and true finish. That was the choice that this client wanted me to use, and you can kind of see it in the background. It's done. Um, and it came out beautifully. I'll show you the finished box once it's done. Right here, I'm just trying to build and assemble that hat box that you'll see. That's that open picture window in the front with the plexiglass that's going to display her combination cover. After I got done building that, and you can see I basically did the same thing, glues, screws. It doesn't have to be, it's not structurally holding anything. For this case, because it did, and I kind of wish I would have measured the final weight, it was heavy, right? So I ended up using this 1-inch line, and what you see me doing here is a very poor job at pretending to be some sort of a bosun mate. But what I did was I spliced the ends of the cable together by braiding them into themselves, not using any knots whatsoever. These two cables are basically friction fit, but because they're braided into each other, and I used some twine at the ends in order to lock them together, they should never slip. As long as there's no damage to the cable, these should work for handles as long as she needs them. And as you can see, they come out to be pretty nice little accent on the sides. And you definitely will need two people to carry this thing because it is heavy. Uh, and that's what I came up with. Here comes the last step, which was recessing the hinges. I just grabbed my palm router and a straight bit. I marked out where my hinges are going to go, and there I am pretending to woodwork again with a hammer and chisel, though this was not nearly as frustrating as it was doing corners. All I did was scribe it with a utility knife, uh, router out the majority, hog out the middle where the hinge was, and then chisel out the corners so they're square. Unfortunately, I don't really have any videos of me doing the final assembly, but this is like the day before I'm getting ready to deliver it. I'm just hitting all these last minute spots, and here's the final product. at the retirement. As you can see, what I was talking about with the display that sits in the front and the hat cover, the display case where she can display her combination cover, and this is with the lid closed. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, check out these videos. Otherwise, let me know in the comments.